Bill Wurtz.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing, Bill? It's been a little while since we last spoke. How you been?
I'm cool. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to do this again. You are the first person. You have just beaten the record of recurring guest. It was at 2 before, which was...
oh my goodness. I'm the Regis Philbin of the Vibe Chamber.
It was my good buddy, Augie Bello, who's actually in my house somewhere right now. He's in my roommate's room. And then Richie Kanata from Billy Joel's band and the Lords of 52nd Street. They were at 2, and you were tied. Yeah. But now are you the...
So we run out of material to talk about right now.
Well, actually, no. I got something I want to ask right off the bat. Okay. It's been...
I appreciate the monitor. I was just saying in the background there. It's a big improvement because now you can see my actual real-time reactions to you as you speak.
I've always I used to do it where obviously that wasn't there because when I started back where that TV is, like by that white wall, the audience can sort of see it. You can see it better. Back on that wall is where my desk used to be. So that's where the show started. Yep. Oh, okay. Well, now the monitor says, well, don't turn off.
Yeah.
Never happened before.
Wait, so
is
that... Okay, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, so it used to be back there and then you couldn't see the screen at all. When I rearranged my room, I switched over to this side and this is like the new like studio area. And so that's how you can see the screen now. And I like it because I don't like when I watch shows and the whole time you can see both angles. I don't know. It kind of looks underproduced to me.
Right.
But this
Meanwhile,
allows...
you're making switches live still.
Yeah, I'm still making...
Bonkers. Am I a huge dork for always wanting to talk about the technical stuff? Does anyone else talk about like the camera switches and the
I've had a few people ask about it because they had seen the show before. And a lot of people, to be honest... don't know that it's live. Like I explain it and even when we go live, they're like, oh, so like it's live. You're not just like work. I'm like, yeah, no, it totally is. And so that's usually when I explain it to people that everything you see, everything that the live chat is seeing. Thank you to everyone who's watching, by the way. Everyone who's seeing this now is what they're going to see later. Nothing changes except for I do a little mixing on the audio. But besides that, it's all done live, which is something that is it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like I mess it up sometimes, but you know, overall it's been working out for me and I've been doing this almost 3 years now.
All right. So you're not able to recut the camera switches in post for the post?
Not at all. I mean, I think if I bought a lot of expensive equipment, I could do that. But A, I can't afford it. And B, I don't want to have like 150 gigabytes worth of footage for every single episode. And right now it's about 12. Which is manageable, but more than that, I don't think I could do it. Yeah,
no, and your life is significantly better because because that is not a part of your life to sit down and go through the whole thing again. And
no, the whole idea is that all my work is pre-production. I do a little bit of post, but once the show is done, I don't want to think about it. Okay, I don't want to go back. I don't want to edit. I do the show, bam, next episode. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Bill, I wanted to ask because when we first started doing this, which was, I think it was February, March, something like that.
Yeah.
There was a big period of time where you were posting like every month.
Yeah.
But you haven't posted on your main channel.
Right. I launched into the Madness schedule during pretty much the entirety of the year 2022.
Yeah. I remember I just saw like subscriber updates in my subscription box and I was like, I don't understand. I think I said this the last time how I couldn't, or maybe the first time I think we did this, I couldn't understand, especially with this fully animated stuff. And I was like, I don't know how the hell you're putting this out. But there's been a long period. So
no, you can't do that. During the 3 week, we'll call that the 3 week schedule because it was 3 weeks Tuesday. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
So what have you been working on for the past 7
I'm
months?
doing it a different way. Now that I've done the Blitz 1x1 thing, it's the right time now to try something that I've fantasized about for a long time, which is to stay in the same department for a long time across multiple videos and not switch.
What's that department right now?
Think of it right now. I'm doing modeling stairs.
Modeling stairs. I like that. Are you using Blender, will you say?
I could say. I don't know if I will, but I could.
Will you?
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
That's a pretty. I think that's an easy one because all my stuff is Blender. I will say because I'm too cheap to buy the expensive ones. But
yeah, put it this way: I'm a control freak, so I'm more likely to want to program my own way of doing something rather than learn a pre-established way of doing something.
I have no amount of patience for that. I respect you for doing that. I can't do it though. I can't. If I had to learn how to code, my good buddy's really good at coding stuff. I can't do that. I get the free version of everything that I can find, and then I just shove YouTube down my throat until I learn how to do it, and then I get the thing I need to get done, and then I probably won't touch it for another year and a half.
Yeah.
So wait, what's this big project that these stairs are a part of?
I mean, basically, yeah. Think of it like a television production studio that also does song recordings and songs and whatever, everything that I do. Pretend that's like a big production studio, right? How many different job positions do you think would be in that company?
Way more than there should be, I'll tell you that. Having worked in television, I'll tell you that there's like 40% too many people whose jobs aren't really real.
Right. Okay. But it's still like more than one probably to like properly get the work done, right?
That one for sure more than one.
Yeah, and so those jobs are very different from each other. Very different, like an entirely different mindset. For example, let's say I'm just singing vocals. I'm a singer, right? How different is that from modeling stairs? Totally different thing, right?
Oh, I mean, I thought you were trying to say if they're like similar, and I was like, I don't really see the
overlap. My point is that they're very different.
Okay.
My point is that when I get into doing one thing and I do the entire like one video's worth of work in that department and I get to the end, it's terrible because I feel like I'm finally just now getting the hang of it, at least for now. I really feel like I'm getting into it, and then I have to completely put on a different hat and do something completely different. And that's the way it normally has to go when I'm doing one video at a time. So I've always just like had this fantasy that I can do like 15 videos at a time and stay in the singing department, for example, and just sing them all, or then just do drums for them all, or just do songwriting for them all, or just modeling, or just character animation, or just lip sync department animation, or, you know, it's like there's so many different, entirely different things to do that it's really just a bummer to have to switch jobs so often. So I've always wished that I could just do 15 videos at a time and just stay in the same job position across all 15 videos and then switch to the next thing and do that across all 15 videos. I've been dreaming about doing that for so long.
And that's exactly what you're doing right now?
It happens to be, yes, it is what I'm doing now. And the reason I normally don't do that is because everything is great about it except for the one tiny detail of like, how the fuck many years is that going to take me to actually get this stuff done? So it's like, that's the reason I haven't done it. But the desire to do that has been growing.
How many videos are you working on right now?
It's 15. It's 15.
Oh, it's a full 15.
I call it the 15 stack. Yeah.
So are you going to do those like, they're going to, before the first one comes out, are they all going to be 100% done? Is that the plan?
I would estimate the way things are going, and I'm really looking forward to this day. It may be a pipe dream. This may be impossible. What I'm doing may be completely impossible. And it may, 6 months from now, I may have a total rock bottom meltdown where I realize that this is not possible and I'll have to just abandon it and do something else. But mostly it seems fantastic. So yeah, I would get to the stage where they're all like in the final, like post-production, whatever, color correction, whatever goes last. And then life is great because I finish one, put it out, and then I can actually put them out as I want to, rather than just being at the mercy of whichever one is done or not done. I'll be able to have like my wits about me to be able to release them as I want to release them, and not just, be tied up because they're not done yet. You know what I mean?
How do you deal financially when you're going to take a break that's this long? Because now it's 7 months. That's the greater part of a year. I couldn't take 7 months off of my job. So how do you plan for that on a financial basis? Are you making enough from your channel from old content to live comfortably in that period, or do you have to kind of like condense how you live for a while?
That's interesting. Yeah, we should start an entire second show about money and talk about money.
Well, let's talk about it right now.
Let's do it on a different show.
We got the time right now, Phil. We just started.
Yeah, I think that's a different show.
I don't know.
Talk about it on a different show.
Because I'm curious because
you first. How much money do you make?
I didn't ask a specific bill. Okay. I just said, I don't need you to say I make this much. I just want to know, how are you able to plan for that when you're taking that much off? Because even for someone as successful as you are, for lots of content creators, they have to have something that they're putting out in all these stages where they take breaks. Otherwise, they can't support themselves financially. I can't support myself off of this show. I work as a DJ now, Bill. When we met, I was working in TV. Now I'm a DJ. I couldn't take a month off. So I'm just curious, how do you plan for that?
Yeah. We could do a whole other show about this, really.
Do you have a secret job that we don't know about?
I would say it's one of three things. It's either yes to that, or yes to something else, or yes. It has to be one. It has to be something, right?
Then what is?
You'd think.
Which one of those somethings is it?
Well, let's see. I think we're gonna have to talk about it on. I just got an idea. I just got a brand new idea.
What's
I think
the
we
idea?
should start a separate. I think we should start a separate show and talk about this on that show.
Bill, I can barely do this show. I can barely edit the videos and do the thumbnails and all that for this. I don't know if I can do a second fully of that.
I know.
Why is it that you don't? Because I know we've had a few shows to warm up with. And I don't want to, make it uncomfortable, push you too far or anything. Okay, I hate.
Well, it's too late for that.
Do that.
We're 5 minutes late for that.
Well,
that ship has already sailed.
There's always a little bit where you want to kind of open up more than you thought, but I'm not trying to get sound bites or anything stupid like that. But I'm just curious because we've had a few shows to work up, and you talked about the anxiety you had, mostly in the first show, a little bit in the second show. But the big thing is, first of all, amazing feedback from both of those shows. People were so excited to hear you talk in a format, that's a lot more free form than they had before, especially on a consistent basis, having done the two shows here. But one thing people said is they love when you talk about specific stuff about your life, because people want to know a lot more about you, because they love to hear about how you make things, but people are really interested. Like, I think you would probably say, oh, nobody cares. You're a humble guy. You don't expect people to care. But I'm telling you, from reading these comments and going through the live chat and seeing stuff on Reddit, people love when you talk about yourself, especially on a talk show.
Right.
Not a podcast, a late night talk show.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Are you starting to warm up to that idea of kind of letting more stuff out that you're
talking about the specific subject that you just mentioned?
About subjects in general, stuff that like maybe 6 months ago you thought you wouldn't talk about.
Maybe. Well,
because like if you have any, if personal questions you want to ask me, I'd be happy to
answer
to warm you up.
I mean, I'm fascinated by what you're doing, obviously. I mean, I probably would be repeating myself to geek out about your whole setup.
We've talked a good amount about the technical stuff, but is there anything else that you want to know? Let me know, because I'm not trying to make this one-sided. I'm not just trying to pry shit out of you.
It shouldn't be. I would rather geek out about what it takes to do a show like that.
I will say, if you want to ever do like just like an off the air call where I give you a whole rundown of how I do it specifically, I would love to do that, because trust me, I could talk about it for hours. I don't think people want to hear me talk about how, what the best file format to record in OBS is.
Here's the magic thing. Actually, you bring up something interesting, because when you do live shows and when people do live talk shows, there must be an art to dealing with a question that you absolutely don't want to answer, and yet deal with it in a way that does not portray a neon sign like, I don't want to answer this question, because that almost speaks louder than any answer. If you say, I don't want to answer that, it's almost a terrifying situation to be in.
Well, I think you're overthinking the reaction of people that are watching, because I remember the last time I asked you if we could take some questions from the chat, and you said that you were...
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I know, but you said you were concerned...
the answer to that,
You said you were concerned that people were going to think that you're like, I don't want to say no because I don't want to be a jerk. Every comment was like, oh, we get it. I think you're underestimating how understanding people can be. And trust me, people can be very not understanding, but I think specifically the group of people who really like you and really like the stuff you make are very accepting when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I think you might be underestimating that a little bit, in terms of being able to turn things down.
yeah, I think there's also a skill to be learned of just jumping into it and knowing that there are things that you won't talk about and finding some just magical way to just like to yeah to just navigate through that without actually answering it and without looking like a jerk. It's a fine art really, and it's only learned with time
I
and
mean,
repetition. I'm certain.
it would take a lot for me to have to divert a question on my end, to be fully honest. It would have to be something that's like insane that I really don't want people
Yeah,
to know. Um,
yeah,
so I don't really have a skill for that, because generally, to be honest, most people don't ask me anything that makes me like
yeah.
uncomfortable. But
Right. The way it's now that we're talking about this, it's interesting because the way I run things when I do what is it off there? I'm curious.
what's up?
You got a monitor there? Oh, there's a. Never mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just checking that. I was just checking. I have my stream just to make sure everything's good. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
good, good. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. I don't know. No, it's interesting when I do my own question and answer thing. It's like magical because the questions don't go live unless I post them. So if I get a question I don't want to answer, nobody knows that it was asked,
Well,
right? But if it's live or whatever, then you ask a question, and then suddenly it's well known. This is the question you want to answer. So it's a totally different dynamic.
Is that a muscle maybe you would want to exercise?
Yes.
Should we try it?
Well, I just got a major workout right now, and I think it's nice to just come out and be honest about this phenomenon.
I know. I appreciate you telling me, honestly, how you feel.
Yeah,
I
because
appreciate that.
it is interesting. Yeah,
Because I want to know.
although we should have a secret safe word, code word, just between me and you.
Well,
which we don't.
I'm not going to ask anything I think that is like insane.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask your address. I'm not going to ask your dating history. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
Yeah, I do live. By the way, I do live on the top floor of the Empire State Building. I'm the colors. I'm the guy that sets the colors. When they change colors, yeah, I'm the guy that does that. Pretty cool.
That would be a pretty cool job. But I know you don't like to say anything about your personal career, so I don't know how much I can trust you about that. Is that your side job? Is that how you make the money in these break periods?
Surprisingly, that doesn't pay. The Empire State Building
you're donating your time.
Color chooser. Yeah.
You can do that with an app in the city. You can sign up to be part of this special app, and then there's this big building, like famous buildings, that they give you like a 2-minute period where you can use an RGB slider if you like win this lottery to control the lights on the buildings. Fun fact. I never got in because the app wouldn't even like give me the time.
You know what? It's an exciting time to live in because I feel like they only just invented the full spectrum color of LED lights. Like within the last, I don't know, 10 to 20 years. I feel like the blue LED, someone told me once a long time ago that blue LED lights simply are impossible. But that's clearly not true anymore.
Well, they don't work on camera. Really strong blue. Fun fact, technical fact. No one's going to care about this. The way that the RGB in cameras, digital cameras, it doesn't pick up blue correctly, so it clips. You can only pick up good blue light on film or a really high bit depth digital camera. There you go. We're covering the sexy stuff.
So you think? Yeah, definitely. But so do you think even like well, yeah, right. So like red cameras and like the really super crazy ones, but like the iPad or whatever Apple cameras don't do good with pure blue. You think?
Put a hard blue light on most digital cameras, and you're gonna see that it clips.
Wow.
My blue light is being softened by a red light. So, and it's out of focus and it's not shining directly on me. If it was shining like a hard blue light on me, you'd see clipping because my camera doesn't have like, it's not one of these.
But that wall is actually blue though, right? That's an actual blue wall, right?
Yes, but that's different because it's not emitting light.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, technically it is because it's reflecting and all that. But it has to be, it literally has to be like a blue light source getting
shining at the camera,
because it's where normal colors don't clip, blue will.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
More than other colors. I don't know why. This is all the stuff that you figure out when stuff goes bad and you go, why does this look like shit? And then you Google it,
right?
And then you figure it out.
That reminds me of something. Have you ever seen headlights? There's a certain kind of light, certain kind of fairly modern headlights that I believe has a much slower refresh rate than most lights, or even some lights probably don't even have a refresh rate. I tend to notice, for me, in my peripheral vision, there's a certain kind of headlight when I see it in my peripheral vision only, or when I move my vision, that I can see the flicker. But if I look directly at it, I can't see the flicker. Have you ever experienced that?
If something's right on the verge of being too slow, or it's on the verge of being fast enough to be imperceivable, your peripheral vision picks it up for some. That is true. I don't know why. That is something that I learned off this YouTube channel called.
So you just know that. Okay. So you just know that as for a fact, yeah.
I watched that. Yeah. I learned that from this channel called Technology Connections. I like to learn weird technological stuff for no reason, but yeah, I learned it off of that channel, and he said that particular lights with lower refresh rates, they something about your peripheral vision that I don't know.
Yeah, there's a certain type of headlight that it flickers for me when it's in the peripheral, but then I stare at it, it doesn't do it.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's why I don't like LEDs that much, unless I don't know. I don't like knowing that they're flickering. It's like some weird OCD thing about me.
Do you remember the ones? And I don't know if any of these are like this anymore, but some of the displays on ovens or microwaves, they have a refresh rate such that, and this is insane, and I to this day haven't figured out why this works. I don't even think modern ones do it. If you look directly at one of those and you do this while you're looking at it, you'll never believe what happens. It's the craziest thing. You would think, okay, it vibrates or something. I swear this is true. The digits tend to float separately from each other.
That happens on trains when the train vibrates. I noticed that on the exit signs, if they're LEDs, it literally looks like the lights come out and they go like this around the light. I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you wanna conjure that on your own without the train doing it, just go and stare at it. It's insane. It's insane.
How psychotic are we that we both noticed this random weird thing about LED lights?
I actually wonder. Yeah, I wonder how I noticed it. I must have just done that by accident when I was looking at the oven timer.
I noticed it on an Amtrak train like years ago, and then I used to put my hand like this where I could make my head vibrate from the train tracks.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, but I don't know. Bill, I wanted to ask though.
What about this one? What about this one? Wait, hold on. I'll let you get. Right. On some laptop computers while they're charging. If you lay your finger on the top of it and then slide it along,
do not.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I had a MacBook Pro from 2013, and if I slid my hands, my fingers vibrated. Are you going to tell me that?
Yeah.
Oh my!
Only when it's plugged in. It has to be plugged in.
It has to be an aluminum body too.
And not when it's still. Just if you move your hand along, it's just it's crazy.
Bill, I think we're both insane. Because I noticed that exact thing with my old MacBook. My new one doesn't do it. The one I have a MacBook off to the side here, it doesn't do it. But I noticed if you go like this, you can literally feel like just like a slight vibration, almost as if there's like a current that isn't shocking you but doing something.
Right. Yeah. It's good that we got that on the.
I'm happy that we talked about that. See, there you go. We went away from the topic that you got nervous about. This is good because if I'd say if there are at least a handful of people listening, I'm sure some of them will connect to that. There are a good amount of people listening right now. I don't know the specific number, but there are a good amount, and they seem to be enjoying it from what I see on the chat.
Okay, so are those real guitars? They don't have to be, but are they?
They are real guitars, but yes.
It's awfully expensive for a background decoration, isn't it?
It's not even in the shot. It's only in yours. It's just I had them from before.
See, this whole thing is haywire because I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know what I'm seeing. This is a good shot though.
Yeah, it's just I like to have a head-on shot, so it's better for conversation than the thing.
I don't want to ruin your life, but I don't want to ruin your life, but it would be very appropriate to me if in post-production, just when I say are those real guitars, at least just a screenshot or something for what I'm seeing would be really helpful. I'm not saying you should because I know it's a slippery slope to get into editing, and I think it's better that you don't even worry about a damn thing. But it would make me look better if that image came up in that moment.
To be honest, by the time tomorrow when I go to mix this, I will probably forget to do that. But if I think about it, I might do it. But I also might just be too lazy. We'll see where I am tomorrow morning.
I'm in two minds about that because I'm so happy for you that you have a hard policy against any editing. I say against because it's irresistible.
Do you have British roots in your family?
It's irresistible to say against.
It's just spell color with a U. I do that. I don't know why.
I do that sometimes. Yeah, it's a nice little, and when I assume something, sometimes I assume.
I also
sometimes I assume. Yeah.
I put an E at the end of theater. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, you switch the E and the R is what you would do.
I do like theater, like how you'd spell it English and like, oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking said in my life. Oh my God. Because I was about to say how you spell it in American and I go, that's not right. And spell it in American English versus British English.
Yeah. No, the British would be R-E with just T-R-E would be British.
Oh yeah. Right? That's exactly it. Bill, I want to ask, okay?
Yeah.
I know you don't like when I do that segue, but I want to do it anyway. This is my show. It's the Vibe Chamber.
That's true.
Not my podcast.
How often does it get does the chamber get completely filled up with vibes?
It's 150% right now, Bill.
150%. I will have to look into how percentages work, see if I can reconcile that.
We're overflowing with vibes at the moment. It's actually a dangerous situation. It's a code violation in New York City, in Brooklyn.
Okay. Well, I accept that.
Okay. I'm going to ask this question.
That's good.
Okay. All this stuff, the nerves that you have, is this only when you're on camera? Or are you kind of like that when you're with people that maybe you're not so comfortable with, that you're a little more reserved with the stuff that you want to talk to people about? Is this really only an on-camera being Bill Wurtz thing? Or is this like a consistent thread in your life?
If you think about it, it's pretty logical. It has very little to do with the camera and much more to do with how many people are listening. Because that obviously changes things.
So
right?
if I have a question. If, let's say this wasn't live streamed, would you feel more comfortable talking about things because you know that at the end of the day, no one's hearing you say it right now?
There would be a tendency to start thinking about the edit. Although there could be a tendency to bail on the whole thing halfway through and say, forget this.
Yeah, because you don't have the accountability for...
Yeah, because I really don't, I believe in and respect and admire the zero edit policy that you have, because I know how editing is a slippery slope and it will take over your life and you'll spend more time editing than you actually spent, doing it. So yeah, I think live is, why not? Just why not? In the theater, you're with an RE.
With an RE at the end.
Yeah, it's there. It's like, actually in the old days we'd be like in front of the podium, as they say.
But in general, in general, like the stuff, let's say
at the podium,
this kind of stuff that I'm asking you that you say that kind of works out that muscle, would you be more comfortable to say it to just someone on a personal basis, or like
yeah.
So it's not
I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you the name of my dog, or even if I have a dog, I'll tell you that.
I think you slipped up a little bit there.
Did I?
Because you said the name of the dog and then you reverted.
Or if I have a dog, yeah.
I would say,
depending on which way it's going, it may not be a reversion. Yeah.
But the thing is,
as soon as I figured out that pets live so much shorter lifespans than people, it's just really hard to get into that whole thing. I don't know how to. Yeah.
I've lost a lot of dogs. I've had a lot of dogs in my life, and when every time they die, it's like the worst thing on the planet Earth for like a couple minutes.
So that'll should answer that.
Days. I just said a couple minutes, like I'm some heartless asshole.
Couple minutes, yeah.
Like for a while, and then get the new dog, and you go, oh, this is gonna be great, and then you snap a finger, and it's 10 years later, and you're burying them, and you go, why the fuck did I do this? This sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
don't know.
You would, but you are comfortable enough, especially how much you know me on a private basis. You are. It's really just the audience that really messes you up. But
of course,
what if you knew that everyone that's watching wants to hear these things? I promise you, everyone.
Well,
because all these people are coming from your channels.
Guess what? A lot of people want to know and see a lot of things about a lot of people that would make them uncomfortable.
But I'm talking just like regular stuff. Every day, facts about yourself. The stuff that you would say if you were to go on like Colbert or Jimmy Fallon or something like that.
What exactly is a regular thing?
Well, I just want to know, what is the name of your dog? The stuff that is not directly attached to how you made a specific song, how you made a video, but the stuff because the biggest thing behind the things that people make is the person. The person behind those things is important. If someone loves the stuff you make, unless you're, you're doing some cancelable offense, like, some famous people, people like that. It makes them like you more. And I know there's so many people who want to hear that stuff. And I feel like it's a good opportunity to work that muscle and talk about,
of course.
like the way that how you grew up and how that shaped how you made stuff. But I know that that's stuff that you don't prefer to touch on.
Yeah.
Like if I asked you how you started music, would you answer that?
I can say that I feel guilty about this because there was a piano in my house.
There's a piano in your house. Did you just kind of like?
There was a piano in my house.
I did. That was me with a drum kit.
There was also. I feel even more guilty about that because there was also a drum kit in my house. Now, if that weren't the case, I could see myself going a different way, or maybe a similar way, or I'd find my way somewhere. Perhaps I'd get into multilingualism and I'd speak 12 languages by now, or something else. I would do, or actually, most likely music. But there's a lot of. I did have a piano and a drum set in my house when I was young.
My mom was and is a piano teacher, and my father is a drummer, and he had bought this drum kit for my brother, and he never used it. And so my dad was like, before I throw this out, let me just see if the younger son wants to play the kit at all. And I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of, it just came sort of as naturally as playing something at, I think I was like 2 or 3 at the time. So, dog shit, but as naturally as you can. And it just kind of stuck that way. Yeah. So if he hadn't done that, I probably would not have discovered it, which means I probably wouldn't have played drums my whole life and gone to college for it and moved to New York City. And I started this show by interviewing musicians from the college that I went to. So like, it's crazy how that trajectory, how something so small can switch up your whole life. So and then my mom taught me piano. Like, are you the only musical person like in your immediate family?
Well, it sort of surprises me because many of they like to say no, we're not really, but they are.
So you think it's
turns out music actually was a commonly known thing. Just
So it's not crazy that you got in. I mean, obviously, if there's instruments in the house, someone in the family, does that. But it's not crazy that you got into it.
I think either way, though, I think that the fact is that music does affect me extremely strongly. Like it's just like there's no way that I was going to not get into it.
So
even if it was nowhere, like I don't know, even if it was nowhere in around, I would still like see a movie and there'd be music in it. I'd be like, oh wow, like how does that work? Like, let's get into it. Like how does notes? This is boom. It would have happened.
How'd you realize this is not just a hobby? Like, oh crap, this can be like a career. People do this.
When I was about 12, and this is after having done. The way I tend to operate is I see something that is just irresistible to me, and I get hooked on it, obsessed with it. It happened to me with card tricks. It happened to me with ventriloquism. It happened to me with various things. I recall acting out the entire Mr. Rogers intro like thousands of times. It's like when I see something, and I was a child, by the way. That is a childhood thing. And so, but that happens with many things, and music is particularly good for that. So that happened to me with music in different ways, whether it was this piano player or that drummer or this thing or that thing. It's like that happened. Like, so there's entirely different phases of obsession. Many of which related to music. And around the time I was about 12, I noticed so many of these little obsession crazes that come about. So many of them are related to music. And it just is clearly not going to quit. Like one way or another, it's just going to be there.
I had that exact same situation, but it was for entertainment related things as a whole. And that's something that I kind of knew my whole life, but I always wanted to make, like YouTube videos when I was a kid. I started getting into the whole like interviewing thing on my old YouTube channel back in like 15 or 16. I had a YouTube channel all devoted to collecting vinyl records. So it was like entertainment because it was YouTube, but it was also, everything was always tied together kind of by that music thing. And I was a drummer. I was working at a musical theater. And then when I got to college, I went, oh, my love for this is not just I want to sit behind a drum kit.
Right.
I like to put on a show.
Mic, I like put on a show, produce a show. Yes. Speak, use language.
Exactly. As long as I'm putting on a show, whether I'm playing the drums, whether I'm doing this, or when I DJ, I have this stupid shtick where I wear a chef's hat and I dance around with stupid glasses. But that's the show part of it. And that's what I realized.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I love. And it makes
Right.
me go like, maybe I'm a little bit of a narcissist and I like the attention. But at the same
Right.
time, I'm like, oh, there's all of these different roots that I can tie together by this one love for entertaining people, or at least trying to entertain people. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not up to me to say if it's successful.
I definitely share the being on a stage aspect of it, and, you know, putting on a show aspect of it. And yeah, certainly I've had many times become obsessed with a certain show. I also regularly produced episodic entertainment shows. Really hit right with me.
Yeah.
They just do. It doesn't even matter if they're good or bad. Like, I'm just like, I want to see how it develops. I want to see how the set changes. I want to see how much they get better at it over time. I want to see, you know, so I really, really latch onto those things.
Do you remember the first time you had ever earned $1? Because I remember I was in New Orleans and I knew this woman named Doreen Ketchens, fantastic clarinetist. She was playing in the French Quarter, and we had met her because I was a part of this band at my YMCA in Central New York. And so she let me sit in and do some second line stuff on the drums. And I remember someone gave me $1, and I was like, what? I can do this and someone will pay me? Did you ever have that kind of experience where you're doing something, you're performing, and then all of a sudden, like, got some money? Holy shit, this is mind blowing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's complicated. I sort of had a roundabout way of getting to that. It's yeah.
Working like odd jobs and stuff like that as a musician.
I've done that. I've done that as a musician. I've done that not as a musician, and the whole thing.
Was every time that you had a job that wasn't like music related or entertainment related, did your brain go like, oh shit? Because I have, that is a big thing with me, that every time I do
there's
something.
a thing. I can say that it was a breakthrough when I realized that I could keep because a lot of people say you should get a job doing something with music because that way you can do what you love. But actually, I was really hung up about that. So it was kind of a breakthrough when I realized that I could separate it and do something totally different. And then, I don't know.
Are there anything?
This is firmly on the list of stuff that we are not supposed to talk about, by the way.
But I'm having a great time. I'm going to be honest. I'm having a great time. But I know, like, I worked, like I said, I used to work in television, and used to means like 2 months ago. And it's something where I realized if I'm not in a role where I am prominent, if I'm like in a behind the scenes role, I really just can't function that way. I can't separate those things. I can't say, well, you know, when I go home and I do the vibe chamber and I go and play drums, it's different. I kind of need that little bit of having to put on like a show, like I said, and all the things. But you're able to, like, you could do something that's totally unentertainment related and be like, that's my job. Bam. Oh, now I'm doing the thing I love. You can do that.
Think of it this way. If I were working at a store and I could either be in the back scanning things or at the register, most people in a store, I think, hate being on the register. They hate it.
I know someone. I don't want to say because I don't.
But that's all I would want to do if I were to work in a store.
Because you're like prominent, you're in front of people.
Yeah, it's just like having a talk show, basically. Not really. It's not as good as having a talk show, but it's certainly I'd be better at doing this if I were doing that regularly. I certainly know that when you do that regularly, do you remember a guy on Jeopardy that did super good about 6 years ago? I think his name is Austin Rogers. This guy is just spectacular. This guy just leaps off the screen. I mean, this guy is fantastic.
Is he the guy who did the like "I love you" when what's his name which "I love you, Alex" when Alex Trebek announced that he had cancer? I don't think so. No, wasn't him.
This is earlier. I don't think so. This is earlier.
Because I know that guy and I know Ken Jennings, but I don't know if I know this other guy.
Austin Rogers is just magnetic on the screen. Turns out he had a gig hosting trivia at a bar. So that was where he got. That's where he got. But he's just like during that 10-second intro thing when they throw the camera on you and you're supposed to like look deadpan, he would always have some sort of thing that he would do, and he's really
some people are really like sparkles. Just like a camera goes on them, and then even if they're in a group of people, you're just like that person. Same with on stage.
But basically that comes from being in a job or a role where you get stage time.
I learned a lot about doing this show from when I worked. I used to do work for the audience department of the Drew Barrymore show. And so we would bring people into the studio, we check them in, make sure they had their tickets, all of that. And a lot of that is customer service, obviously, but it's at a level where you go, these people probably don't know that there is a separation between me and the producers and obviously, the talent of the show. These are different departments. People aren't going to think about that. They're going to think, if this person sucks, this means that Drew Barrymore is a bad person, which is obviously not true. Yeah. So there's a lot there. We did feel a lot of pressure on that. And I learned a lot about how to get through awkward situations. I've probably said this on the show before. Talk through things. Learn how to say something in a way that's hopefully captivating to the person that's listening. Of
course.
Especially under circumstances where they don't like you at the moment.
I watched somebody host a show, and this is a particularly gifted stage presence person. The sound was going haywire. There was like whistling feedback and da-da-da-da. And it was like a corporate audience. And this guy was like, so we're just going to be hearing the sound of a whale just for the entire show. And that's going to be cool. And we're going to get used to it. And it was magical because it was the most horrifying sound.
Yeah.
And this guy managed to diffuse the whole thing and make the whole thing good and funny. And then that guy has years and years of stage experience, but it just happens from stage experience. And you can get stage experience, almost doing anything as long as you're in front of people doing stuff. I'm sure like kindergarten teachers are great at this, because they spend the whole day,
I totally agree.
Or any kind of professor, teacher, speaker, public speaker,
Did anyone in your family, like specifically like your parents, did they have that kind of interest in performance like you do?
I think so.
Did they work in any fields that you would say like are related to that kind of a thing?
It's possible.
It's possible. My parents did not. Well, no, that's bullshit. My father, he's an electrician, so it's sort of like he has to talk to people a lot, but it's different. My mom is a piano teacher, but to be honest, I don't think about my mom as like having a job. I think of my mom as being my mom. So I like forget that. I go home and I go, oh, she has like 30 students. I don't remember that. So I know that my mom is very good at talking to people, specifically young children, which I am not good at. Young children, especially like toddlers, they hate me. I like them so much. I'm like, I just want to hang out. Like I love little kids and they're so cute. And then I go to talk to them and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, fuck you. You're not my mom. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, bitch.
Yeah.
What are the things that you can do on the side? Like, what do you say are the parts of your brain that you can separate from art, from your performance interests, that you are also good at focusing on? Like certain things. I'm assuming it's technical related things like I am, because we both have this. We both noticed the vibration on the laptop. I'm assuming that it's stuff like that.
Well, I accidentally started full on learning the language of the Netherlands, which is sometimes incorrectly referred to as, well, I think it's incorrect to call it Dutch, but whatever. It's actually called Nederlands. But yeah, I accidentally started full on learning that language a couple of months ago.
And now are you fluent yet?
No. Hell no.
If I said like, can you say this and said something, would you be able to repeat it in Netherlands?
Maybe. But the thing is, I can almost barely do that in English, because actually it's a lot like acting. You do have to, like the difference between saying something genuinely and saying something with horrible scriptitis, as I call it, is like a vast difference. So it's
I get that. I will say,
but it's creeping into my mind like subconsciously.
I could see you being like a character actor. I really could, genuinely, because I could see you like really. It would have to you'd have to get over obviously those nerves about being, But actually, in a way, you're kind of less vulnerable because you're playing somebody.
Is character actor not a euphemism for less important role or less screen time, or like less further down the call sheet? Is character actor not just a euphemism for
I don't think so. The way I understood character, is it really? The way I understood it was like a character actor is a person, like you have actors.
Not the lead.
No, the way that I guess maybe that might be it, to be honest. The way that I had understood
less likely for the public to know their name. Certainly, actually, you don't know their name.
The way that I had understood it was like you have actors who they're great actors, but they're kind of themselves in every role. You know what I mean? When you see Bill Burr in a show, it's Bill Burr. Versus a character actor is someone like Daniel Day-Lewis or Joaquin Phoenix, who can literally change Like every time,
Right.
Bryan Cranston is a character actor to me under my understanding.
Yeah, that's a better way of, sure, yeah. I do believe the term character actor does not refer to those people because those people take the leading role usually and they're much too successful. Character actor, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe in the acting business, character actor is a euphemism for somebody much further down the call sheet, as it's called.
Well, then I could see you in a leading role, Bill.
Well, you don't have to. I wasn't, asking for that, but I mean, that's sure.
I've always wanted to kind of do that, like do like a play or something, but I get too nervous. Did you ever do that? Did you ever do like school plays or any shit? I was homeschooled, so I had no opportunity to do school plays. Did you ever do that?
I don't recall, but I'm blind to how much of a control freak I am because I do everything myself. So whenever I get close to doing stuff with other people, it knocks me off knocks me on my ass when I realize, oh my God, I'm worse than I thought. Like I can't do anything like the way anyone else does it. And I just can't even. So I do acting, for myself and my own, for my own stuff. Yeah.
Well, you're very fortunate that you carved yourself. I mean, I'm fortunate, obviously, I don't want to say you're lucky because you did it, but you carved out a path where you can work on stuff and really control it in a way that fits your personality best.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than being like an independent creator for someone with your personality type, and I think someone kind of like my personality.
It's the only way that would work for me. But it takes a lot of. You're playing the long game if you're doing that. Absolutely. You can't just show up one day and just say, okay, you have to really need it.
Yeah, it gets better every time you do something, it always gets better.
Yeah.
There you go. Bill, we hit our time. Thank you so much again for joining me. This is my late night TV show outro. Thank you for coming back on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Anything you want to say?
It was echt gezellig. How about that?
That was perfect. I would also describe it as excellent.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke. I'm seeing it. You're not going to get it. There's a couple people who might understand it, but they're probably not watching right now.
Well, mine was a bit of an inside joke as well.
Perfect. Well, then we have our own audiences that are none of the people watching that they'll both understand it separately.
Yeah.
Bill, anything you want to push? You said no last time. Anything you want to say to let the audience know before I let you go?
Well, I really should have said it earlier if there was anything that I really wanted to say. So
perfect. Thank you, Bill. Thank you to everyone who watched. We are going to be live next week at 8 o'clock Eastern, the normal time, the regular time, with Vinnie Moore, the guitarist. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Thank you all. I'll see you when I see you.